Okay, so in today's video, you're going to learn how to build a multi-AI agent. Now, if I come up here, you can see we have this one main AI agent, which is like an orchestrator or a conductor of multiple AI agents. And as you can see, we've given it access to a calendar agent, a contact agent, and an email agent. The email agent has access to our entire Gmail, which is present in this tab. Our calendar agent has access to our Google Calendar, and our contact agent has access to this Airtable database of all our contacts. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this one AI agent, which will basically function like a personal assistant. And I'm just going to chat with it using voice or text. And it's going to be able to take that text input and accordingly use its own brain and decide which of these sub agents to use. So it's basically going to function as our personal assistant, and we are going to build all of this in N8N, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Okay, so to show you a few examples of how this works is first, like, let me ask our personal assistant to send an email to one of the contacts in our database. So I'm just going to choose my name so that we can actually verify that the email is being sent. So I'm going to come up in here and say, can you send an email to Adrian Menezes asking him if he's free for soccer this weekend? And then if I hit enter, you'll see that this AI agent has run. And the email asking Adrian Menezes if he's free for soccer this weekend has been sent. So let us come into our email and check if we have received that. So yeah, as you can see, it says, "Hi, Adrian Menezes, are you free for soccer this weekend?" I mean, now in this case, I'm just sending it from myself to myself because I have both those email accounts set up. But basically, you can see how we can use our personal assistant agent to send out emails without us just having one single email agent that can only do email stuff, right? Like we have multiple agents here, and actually it's the job of this one agent to decide which tool to use in what order and stuff like that, right? And now to show you another example in action where we're using the calendar agent. So say I gave this AI agent a command of, can you schedule a dinner event between Kevin Hart and myself for tomorrow at 9 p.m. at the Marriott? And now if I hit send, you can see our AI agent is running. Now you can see that it's calling our contact agent. It gets those results, and you'll see as the workflow goes through, the main thing that you have to learn when working with multiple agents and these multi-agent workflows is to look at these logs and executions. So if I come in here, like you can see our logs, right? So it says when chat message received. So this is the first chat input we're giving it. Let me pull this up a bit. So we ask it, can you schedule a dinner event between Kevin Hart and myself for tomorrow at 9 p.m. at the Marriott? Then we get, so our simple memory, this is just a memory node that I've set up for adding additional context, but I'll explain the memory nodes and the thing tool in a bit. So basically, this memory node just has access to the last 5 messages that we've sent within this chat or within this conversation. Okay, so then we have our OpenAI chat model, which is our main orchestrator agent that's running. So this is the entire system prompt we've given it. I'll show you all of this in detail in a minute. But so our OpenAI chat model runs, and then we call the contact agent. So you can see the query that it's automatically received is fetch contact details for Kevin Hart. And the output is, I found the contact details for Kevin Hart. Here it is. And it shows you the phone number, the email and stuff, which has come from our Airtable database, right? It has this 099 and ends with 8822. So it has exactly fetched Kevin Hart's details. it gives it back to our OpenAI chat model, which is the orchestrator agent. Then the orchestrator agent decides that, okay, now I need to schedule the dinner event. So which tool do I need to call? Then it realizes it needs to call the calendar tool. So it calls the calendar agent in here, and it says schedule a dinner event tomorrow, 7th November 2025 at 9 p.m. at the Marriott with Kevin Hart and the user. And the output is here, as we can see. And it even includes this final calendar link, and then it just sends this back to the original orchestrator agent, and it says the dinner event has been created or scheduled. If you need any further assistance, please let me know, which is the final chat we receive here. And it just then updates our simple memory. So just to verify that all of this has worked as expected, if I come into our Google tab, you can see we have both our dinner events created. Like, isn't that so cool that we have this like personal AI agent built that can manage our entire calendar? It can send out emails, and it can even access a contacts database that we have, right? So now I'm going to explain like how do we build this out? What are the key concepts? How do you set up like multiple agents? What is the advantage or disadvantage of using multiple agents? And we're going to look at all of that in a step-by-step process. Okay, so I'm going to now explain each aspect of this multi-agent workflow and how that works. So first up, we have our main AI agent. Now, if I come into this agent, you can see that we have this trigger as the chat input, like we've seen in different AI agents. So if I wanted to create one of these from scratch, what I would do is I would first come in here and choose AI agent. By default, it's going to say connected chat trigger node. We're going to have our chat message received. And this is basically the basic first step setup of connecting this agent to a chat message input. Okay, so now we can receive any kind of chat message. So the next step we're going to do is, so that our AI agent is functional, is give it a chat model. And in this case, we're just going to use the OpenAI chat. So if I come in here and I connect a model, so if I choose OpenAI chat model, for our model, I'm going to choose GPT 4.1 mini. I'm just going to select the key to connect it with. If I hit save, and now if I click open chat and I click on hello, my name is Adrian, and I hit enter, you can see our AI agent has run. It says, hello, Adrian, how can I assist you today? Now, this is interesting, and I just wanted to show you this if we've not talked about it before, is the concept that I'm going to introduce to you now, which is this memory node that each AI agent has. So if I ask it, what is my name? You can see it says, I don't know your name based on our conversation so far, even though I've just told it my name, right? Which is weird, like, because I've just mentioned it. But that's because the AI agent just treats each message in isolation. It doesn't have any memory of our conversation. So, how do we add memory to our conversation? Is it's very simple to do. You just click the plus button on the memory, you choose simple memory, and basically you specify this context window length, and this number specifies how many of the past messages in this chat, both from you as well as the AI's response, will be saved. So a default number is kind of 5, which I think is perfectly reasonable. If you wanted it to have even more memory or even more access, you could set this to 10. But just know that basically what this then does is it gives that much more context to your AI models, which also means the input tokens required to consume that message history will increase, and therefore the cost of each message and each interaction with the AI will go up. Now, that is a trade off for you to decide based on what's ideal for your use case and your application. Between 5 to 10 is, yeah, more than enough. So if we come back in here, now that we have this memory node set up, if I hit save, and if I come in here and just start our chat over, if I say, hi, my name is Adrian, to confuse it even more, I'm not going to ask it immediately. I'm going to say, my hobbies are football and tennis. Okay. So now if I had to ask it, um, can you tell me my name? You can see, yes, your name is Adrian, right? So this is how the memory tool works when we are working with AI agents, and how you can retain message history or context with each interaction that you have. And rather than each message being treated independently in isolation, it actually has memory of the conversation that's happening. Okay, so coming back to our original personal assistant workflow, we've seen how to set up the AI agent, the chat trigger input. We've seen how to connect the OpenAI model. We've seen a simple memory in action. Now, next up is, just as a best practice, you can always give your AI agents access to this think tool. And it's basically like just giving your AI agent a scratchpad to do any kind of reasoning or thinking while working with complex tasks. And so, because we need like one agent to be able to think and decide like which AI agent should I choose, right? Do I choose the calendar, contact, or email agent? And you may build your own workflows out, which may be even more complex. So this is a relatively simple example, though very powerful for managing, like, say, your inbox, calendar, and contacts. But if you did have a more complex example, or even for this itself, right, like if your command, like your chat input message, was more complex, and if you were trying to leverage all the agents simultaneously with more complex instructions, like trying to invite multiple people for multiple dinners at different times, or breakfast, lunch, and dinner at different times, and then update the contacts accordingly and stuff like that, your AI agent might otherwise get overwhelmed and might not know what to do, and it may start to hallucinate, or it may eventually just give you bad outputs. So, to prevent the likelihood of that happening, we give it access to this Think tool, and that just makes it more likely that our agents perform better. There's nothing that you really need to do in terms of configuration. All you need to do is come into your AI agent. So, if I come in here, I just click on Tool and I click Think. All I'm going to do is just give it access to the Think tool. That's it. I can give it a description. So if I come back to our example, in this case, yeah, we've just given it a very generic explanation, but we could change this, and that's what I'm going to do now. So basically, you don't really have to do anything with the Think tool. It's more just for the AI agent to make sure that it produces better outputs, and we give it a kind of scratchpad to think about stuff as we give it our instructions. So I'm just going to save our workflow for now. And if I come back to our main personal assistant workflow, you can see that we have set up pretty much the first half of our AI agent, the chat trigger input, along with these additional tools of the memory, the model, and the think tool. Now I'm going to explain to you how do you set up each of these sub workflows and how do you connect it to the main workflow. So, before we get into the sub agents, like to take one step back. Like, if we didn't have access to these sub agents or child agents, right? The calendar, contact, and email agents, how would we kind of manage this personal assistant? Well, what we would have is pretty much one AI agent. Let me show you that in action. So, we would have one AI agent. I'm not going to configure it, but this is one AI agent. We'd connect our, say, chat model, our memory, our think tool. Okay. But then here, like if we wanted to manage, say, our calendar, we would come in here, add the calendar tool. Then we would have one node just to handle create events. Then we would have to add, if I come in here, then I would have to add another calendar tool just to say get events or delete events or get many events, update events, and so on, right? And the more of these that we add, right, like we would have, say, 5 or 6 calendar agents. We would have 3 to 4 email agent functionalities. We may have a couple of contact agent functionalities. And say by the end of this, we have somewhere between 10, 15, or 20 tools that our AI agent needs to be able to pick from. And not only is that complex enough, right? Like if we have to give it 15 or 20 tools to be able to pick from, this AI agent system message or system prompt we give it would have to be so in depth to make sure that the AI agent doesn't get confused, right? That's one big issue to handle. The more complex the system instruction, the more likely the AI agent is to make a mistake, right? And then similarly, in our input, they automatically start becoming more complex because the AI agent doesn't know how to handle our inputs, right? It doesn't know which of these tools or which of these agents to call. And even if it does, like it just becomes very unmanageable very fast. And so, what a better way of doing it is to create these sub agents. Like now, our calendar agent will have access to the 5 or 6, say, calendar related events. Like if I show you that here, like this is going to be our simple calendar agent, right? It's the same AI agent with access to a chat model, and it has access to, okay, in this case, these 4 events. Similarly, our contact agent has access to these 2 events. It's just an AI agent node. We've just connected our chat model and we've just given it access to these 2 operations we need from our Airtable database. And then similarly for our email agent, which has 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 nodes or tools to choose from about labels, drafts, unread, status, emails, send, reply, etc. These are all configured within our email agent. So what this also does is it forms like a logical separation between each of our AI agents, right? So then that automatically starts to make things more manageable. One, and once we set up these multiple agent workflows, right? Our calendar, contact, and email agents, the advantage of doing that is you can reuse these in any other workflow. So tomorrow, say I'm building an event management system for whatever corporation or organization, chances are I'm going to need some sort of scheduling that requires a calendar agent, or I'm going to need some sort of email tool to reply to customer queries and stuff like that. So then, rather than creating everything from scratch again, I can just use this email agent or I can just use this calendar agent as a sub workflow of my main orchestrator agent, right? And I'm hoping that you're starting to see the possibilities of what we're building here. Because once you start building these smaller, more functional agents, you can reuse them throughout more complex AI agents that you may build. And so, like, that was the high level gist of how we build out these multi agent workflows. So, just to recap, I know we've covered a lot. So, we've seen how to set up the AI agent, the main orchestrator agent. We've seen how to set up our chat trigger input. We've connected our AI model. We've given it context by using the simple memory so that it remembers stuff. And we've even given it access to the think tool so that it knows which of our sub agents to choose. And now for the last part in this, I'm going to show you how to connect these sub agents and how to set them up so that you can start building your own personal assistant agent workflow and even build on this example or any other future example where you need access to multiple agents. And that's what we're going to look at next. So whenever you're building any multi-agent workflow, I like to do it by first building out the child agents. And how you do that is you set up your child agent. When setting up the trigger, in this case, it's not going to be manually triggered, right? How we've looked at in previous examples. It's not going to be triggered by a chat message either, because the trigger is going to come from our main orchestrator agent. So what we need to do is we are going to click on when executed by another workflow, which is our main parent workflow. Now we could choose define using fields below. We could also specify using a JSON example, but what I like to use and which is most flexible is to just say accept all data. And what this will do is we'll see it in action. Is it basically just receives a JSON.query object which contains like what it actually needs to do, and then it figures out what it needs to do. So this is our trigger input. And then after this, what we will do is we will just add our AI agent. And this is pretty much the same like we've always set up. We're just going to choose define below. All we need to do is give it a prompt or a user message, and which is going to be the JSON.query that we get in. We're going to get this chat model. So say I wanted to connect the OpenAI chat model. I do that, set up GPT 4.1 mini, choose our credential that is set up, and then we're going to choose our tools, right? So now for if it was an email agent, we are going to choose Gmail, the Gmail tool. Say this was operation send, and like we will just configure these fields like we always have done, right? So if I come into our email agent, just to show you that in action, we have the same when executed by another workflow setup. To see the settings of this, it just says accept all data. Then if we come into our next node, which is the email agent, you can see that the prompt or the user message is the json.query, which will come from our orchestrator node. And then we just add a system message as well, which is we specify the role, the core requirements, the available tools, primary operations, and so on. So this system message context, you can always, if you don't know how to write it yourself, like not that there's any fixed format to write it, but you can always just go into Claude and say like, this is what I'm thinking of. This is what I would like my agent to do. Can you help me come up with a system message? And so then you take that output from Claude or ChatGPT, come in here, paste it, and that's basically your system message and your user message, which is going to be json.query set up by default. So now that we have that, we've connected our model, and then we simply just connect each of these individual nodes, right? Like we've always done for any other model. So yeah, if I come in here, the send email by default, we can use this from AI field, which basically automatically determines which email to send this to. You can say let the model define this parameter, which is using the from AI tool. And yeah, you can just do that for all pretty much, and you can even just give it a description. For this case, like I already had this set up, so we don't need to make any of these changes. But yeah, you basically have two options. Either you can explicitly define it using this from AI node, or you can always just use this or you can always use this determine using AI, and the AI will pretty much do it. You can add a description if you feel that's needed as well. And yeah, basically for any of these nodes, you can always just let AI determine which inputs or values should be used. And you can always add a description, and you can say like this should be the sender's email address, just to give it a little more context. That is completely up to you. So you can choose between using the from AI node, which used to be a slightly older way of doing it. Now you can just click on that magic button icon like this, and the model will define it for you. Okay, so that is it for this section on how do you create the sub agent workflows. And now that you know that, okay, so this is our email agent, this is our calendar agent, which is set up the same way. We have this when executed by another workflow trigger. We have our AI agent and model connected, and we have each of the individual calendar events we need to set up. Inside our calendar agent, all we need to do is change the system prompt. And now we say, like, basically, you're a calendar agent and want to define what tools, access, events, all of that looks like so that it knows what it can and can't do. And so, similarly, we also have our contact agent, the tool set up to Airtable, and yeah, that's pretty much it because we just have our contacts in this Airtable database. Now, to set up the connection between Airtable and N8N, like I've included a few screenshots in here in the lesson that you can see, like it just needs a little bit of work. Like it takes about 5 minutes to set up. So let me just show you what that looks like. Yeah, you've just got to follow these steps. It's pretty easy to do when you are connecting it. But yeah, that's pretty much how you connect Airtable and your contacts agent. We've seen how to connect the contact agent, the email agent, and the calendar agent. And you do that now in, say, this workflow. You just click on tool, and you say call N8N workflow tool. And now we would choose one from our list, which is basically, say, our email agent. The description of this, like I'm just going to copy it from our working model, is basically going to be call this tool to make any email related actions. So I'm going to paste that in here. And similarly, we would do this for our contact agent. Let me add that in here as well. I'm going to choose our contact agent. And the last one that I'm going to choose is our calendar agent. So if I click call N8N, choose calendar agent, and just copy the calendar prompt across. So call this tool for any calendar related actions. So that's it. I'm not sure if we had done that for our contact. Yeah, for any contact related actions. Okay, perfect. So that is really pretty much it. We've got our three sub agents set up. We've got our main orchestrator AI agent set up. We've given it access to the Think tool, the memory tool, and the ChatGPT model that we wanted to use. We've set up our chat message trigger, and yep, that is pretty much it. This was our main parent workflow. You can see how all of that works. If you would like access to this entire template, it's in the free Skool community that I have the link in our description. But yeah, that was pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for watching till the end, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. So, yeah, in summary of everything that we learned inside this video, and I know we covered a lot, we saw how to create an orchestrator AI agent whose only job is to delegate, say, any input or command to one of the children or child agents. Then we also saw how do we connect the chat model, the memory, and the think tool to our main orchestrator agent, and what are the benefits of setting up these child agents basically to make them as reusable components. It also allows better error handling and debugging, and it just makes, like, yeah, this agent look a lot cleaner. And then we have like our very specific workflows inside the sub agents. And as always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask either in the comments or send me a DM once you're inside the free Skool community. The link is in the description. And thank you so much for watching till the end. I appreciate you being here. That's it for this one. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.